Hi, hi everyone. This is BRR. Welcome to BRR Knowledge Center. And I come up with a different topic today is sending of email through Microsoft Graph API. In earlier session, we have seen like sending of email using the SMTP protocol, and in this session we will see like how to send an email without using SMTP protocol and using Microsoft Graph API. So Microsoft Graph API is a RESTful service provided by Microsoft to access cloud services or cloud resources from Azure. So with Microsoft Graph API, you can access Azure Active Directory resources to enable scenarios like managing administrator roles and inviting external users to an organization. And if you are a cloud solution provider, and managing your customers' data. So all this information you can access it through Microsoft Graph API. So if you look at the screenshot here regarding the traditional approach like sending of email using SMTP protocol, this would be like this. So here sender will use SMTP protocol which will connect to sender mail server here, and over internet this SMTP request will goes to receiver where receiver is configured with POP3 mail protocol. Okay, so the POP protocol stands for post office protocol. As we know that SMTP is used as a message transfer agent when the message is sent. So then SMTP is used to deliver the message from the client to the server like this way, and then to the recipient server. So, but the message sent from the recipient server to the actual server with the help of a message access agent. So the message agent contains two types of protocols. One is the POP3 and another one is IMAP protocol. So this would be like this when you send an email using SMTP protocol. So again, this is SMTP protocol is an industry standard protocol for sending an email. So IMAP or POP3 protocols are different protocols. So basically they're used for receiving an email. If you look at IMAP protocol, this is one of the most popular protocol for receiving a mail, and POP3 also another protocol for receiving email on a single device. Okay, so if you look at the this diagram, this is what we are going to discuss about this, like sending an email using Microsoft Graph API. So this is the Microsoft Graph API RESTful service, and you can use this RESTful API and can access all these resources: Yammer, Team, Email, Calendar, SharePoint, Notebook, and Stream, Dynamics, CRM, Power BI, Planner, Staff Hub, Connectors. All these apps are available on this Office 365 groups. And on top of that, we have an identity. So with that identity, I think you need to pass in valid token using Microsoft Graph API and get the access of all this information. So in our case and today's session, we are going to discuss about this email resource, like through Microsoft Graph API, how you will connect to email, which is on Active Directory of Microsoft Office 365 group building blog app here, and how to send an email to a different domain, either Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail kind of thing, or same domain which is available on the Azure cloud. Okay, so if you can get into this, so Microsoft Graph API will take in a token passing from the UI. It is basically in the JSON format, and JWT token, what we call as JSON Web Token. So this is going to be validated using OAuth protocol. I think OAuth is the industry standard protocol for authorization nowadays. So this OAuth protocol focuses on client developer simplicity while providing specific authorization flow for any application on the internet for a web application. So this open standard to access delegation commonly used a way for internet users to grant websites or application access. So in our case, we wanted an access of email resource on Office 365 group, which is on Azure cloud. So we wanted this OAuth protocol instead of traditional protocols what we have seen earlier, SMTP kind of thing. So based on this OAuth protocol, it will validate our token and it will provide you the access back to client. So then client is going to do required operations. So let's quickly jump into the the demo section. So how we are going to write a simple program so that we will send an email, and with that, so see like how you are getting an access. Before that, I think before getting into the development part, so if you wanted to get an access to the Microsoft Office 365 group, you need to register an app on the Azure Active Directory here. So with that help of with that, so you will send in a token to get the access of email. So I'm just quickly opening the instructions here, like how we are going to send this token using an app registration on cloud. So I'm just show you the steps how to register an app on Microsoft Azure, so that you will be knowing like how it is. Generating a token and validating a token kind of thing. Okay, 365. So if you look at here, so these are the steps you need to follow. So we have to log into this Azure portal, and I have already logged into this Microsoft Azure portal here, and go to the Azure Active Services. So that was here. Just click on Azure Active Directory here, and once you go to the Azure Active Services, choose an app registration step where you select a new registration. So with that, so it will ask you the name and supported account types, and redirect URL optional. This is optional. So you just enter name and supported account types and redirect URL kind of stuff. And if you have any certificates, secrets, just given those details also. So once you provide here, I'm just opening this. So here you see app registration, the option here, app registration in the Azure portal. And here you have an option to create a register new app, so new registration. So here you just mention demo O365 mail sending. This is the name you are giving it, and you choose an kind of account type which is going to support in future, like who can use this application or access this API. So extremely like in a single tenant or multi-tenant. So I have already one tenant here, so I'm only giving this tenant. And redirect URL is an optional. So if you want to mention it, otherwise leave as it is and click on register. Once you click on register, it will create or register your application with a given name here, demo O365 mail sender, and it has assigned an ID here. This is the client ID, you can call it as, and this is the object ID, and this is the tenant ID currently where I'm in it. Okay, so going forward, these are the IDs we need to use it to send an email from the .NET using Microsoft Graph API. So once you create this and going to API permissions here, as per the document which I have shown here. So once you give all this stuff, and what you have to do is you have to add a permissions, like what kind of Graph API you are using it, that particular details you have to mention it here. So here we have already Microsoft Graph API here. It has user read. If you want to add another permission here, click on add permission, and in this you will see like all the cognitive services here, and from here you choose Microsoft Graph API. For me, like where it is, these are the different services are available on this area. So this is the Microsoft Graph API. So here I wanted some permissions here, so I'm clicking on application permissions. So these are the permissions here, access review, and what are all the permissions you wanted it, all these permissions you need to choose from here. So for me, like I will go for delegate permission because I wanted to give some permissions which basically required to send an email. hence like email send kind of. So I'm just searching for it and choose this permission and select add permission here, so that it will add to that permission here. So that way you need to add all your required permissions here, and once it is done and you go back to your home directory and again click on Azure Active Directory here, so that you will see like what are all applications you have been registered so far here. If I look here, so and go to app registration and see here in I have 4 applications here. This is what I have registered with this application client ID, and I have already created another 3 applications here, and you can see all this stuff here also. Okay, so I'm going to use this application here, like Azure client credentials, like how I'm going to use it, and this ID I'm going to use it, and this is what my tenant ID. And if you look at permissions here, API permissions, so I have added these permissions for Microsoft Graph API, mail read, write, mail send, and user read. So I'm just going back to my .NET here. So I have just designed a small Windows application here, a client ID, tenant ID, and sender email and password. Here, to address and subject and message. And then after giving this, if I click on send mail, so it will be sent to a concerned recipient. Okay. So to retrieve all these information, client ID and tenant ID, so I have configured here, the mails here. So I have a mail ID with Excelicare, the domain. So these are my client ID, and this is tenant ID, and this is my, the information which I'm giving for sender email and password also I need to give it. So anyway, this is yeah, the uh, secret information which we need to make them as invisible. So hence I'm not saving this stuff. Okay, I'm just going to the design part here, and I'm going to write some information which basically requires to access the token here. And before that, you need to add a reference of Microsoft Graph and Microsoft Graph Auth and identity client and identity model clients active directory. And these you can get it through, the NuGet package manager here. Go to the manage NuGet package manager solutions here, and you add whatever references you require, like browse and Microsoft uh, Graph. So if you click on Microsoft Graph API, it will give you, the Microsoft Graph API here. So if I select here, as I already installed it, so it is showing already installed. If not, so when I select a project here, it will be shown you install. So for my case, so it was already installed, and it is showing me uninstall also. So if not install, you just install it through this NuGet package manager, so that it will comes into your solution and just import it here. Okay, and coming back, so I'm going to read the configuration values as I mentioned. So this is how I'm reading it. So I'm going to read these values. So, and I kept them in global so that I can access these values from anywhere. And by default, I'm assigning this client and tenant and user and the password details here, so that these things will be appeared on UI. And this send mail button click, I'm going to write actual code stuff here, like how to send an email. So using this tenant ID and the client ID concept. So for this, what I'm going to write is on this button click event, I'll write another function. So now Microsoft Graph send mail, or let us say send email through Microsoft Graph API. So which basically a function I'm going to define it here itself. So for this, what I'm going to do is, so I need to create stuff here. So basically, I'm going to define that function name here, like private void name here. This is a function I'm going to write here. So for this function, I need to pass the client and the tenant and this basic information of what app you have registered on Azure. Hence, I'm going to pass these values. Otherwise, as these are the global variables and I can access through variable names here, and that is not a problem, it seems, for me. So next step is, the making this function to read the values and create an object before we hit the Azure Active Directory. So for this, we need to create an object called a public client application object, like where. So PCA options, public client applications equal to new public client application options. So this is the object I'm going to create. So for this, I'm passing client ID equal to str client IDs. So this is the variable I'm keeping, to hold the client ID, and similar way tenant ID. Tenant ID equal to str tenant IDs, str tenant IDs. So this is what two variables required, and last one is redirect URI. So that means, so where I need to redirect to get all this stuff. So this is built in a predefined one which we need to give it. If you look at in Azure itself, so we have a URL called HTTP and login dot Microsoft uh, Microsoft online.com/OAuth2 protocol. This is the latest protocol and native client. So with this URL, I need to redirect to the Azure resources, and this particular object is holding these values now. And after this, I'm going to create a builder object here, again similar way, PCA equal to public client application builder, and in this I'm creating application options by passing above PCA options, which it has all values here, and with that I'm authenticating with authority option here. And for this, we are passing Azure Cloud instance dot. So what value we are going to give it here? So we definitely give a public here, and tenant ID we need to specify, and then you call a build function here so that it will pass all this information and build this object. Okay, and once it is done, so this once it is done, then again you need to mention the Exchange Web Server scope here, EWS scope, uh, which is again array kind of string, new string array. So where it has the URL here, https colon graph dot Microsoft dot com/dot default. So double quotes. So this is holding scope here, And again, I need to pass a secure password here because the password was in plain format, and I need to convert this into a secure password using a secure string here. So secure string class is come through a namespace called system security, and here I need to loop through a password, and each character I'm reading it from the password I have, and that character I'm going to convert to a secure password object like append char of C. So this way my password will get secured and converted into a secure format. And after that, I'm going to build a new object here, authentication result equal to this is the keyword we need to use it. And if you want to use it, we need to mark this method as async because these are the keywords for threading. So async and await. PCA dot acquire token by username and password. And for this, we need to pass the first one is a scope. So we have declared scope was EW scope above, and then next sender mail ID we need to pass. So that is in txt sender. That is what we are going to give in the UI. And then password we need to pass. This was secure password. That was we kept in secure password here. And then next one is I think password. After that, just call execute async. So this is how it is executing and get the token details and kept in this auth result. Uh, that token you need to use using Microsoft Graph API. So I'm going to create Microsoft Graph API client object here using Graph Service Client. Graph Service Client for Graph Service Client equal to new of Graph Service Client of new of uh, delegate authentication provider dot sync of uh, request async of request. So we need to use link queue syntax here. I can say the sync of request message. This is the variable I'm using, and for this I'm passing uh, request message dot headers dot authorization equal to new authentication header value. This is the built-in code, and you get it this code from even Google also, but only thing is we need to pass the required values. So here we are getting token as bearer token, hence I'm mentioning a bearer token. I think we have different kind of tokens, and we'll talk about those in the next session about these token types and the purpose. So here we're getting a bearer token, and I'm mentioning bearer and this object having token, hence access token. If you type access token, it will pass this access token here. So this is how we are building this, and I think missed something. Okay, it's fine. Closed and this is fine. Okay, so now once it is done, public and for each var result, and this is new. was closed here, and this is a bracket. New delegate async and request message. And close. I think we have to close here. Okay, and then char separator, I'm using it because I may have recipients multiple with semicolon separated, and I'm declaring a single character array here which holds separator here, and declaring array like str list which holds the to address stuff. And if I have any multiple, I know the mail IDs, I'm going to give this as separator to split that into list. And the next one is I'm going to declare a recipient object. This is my recipient object to mail list equal to new list of recipient. Okay. So recipient. Recipient to mail list recipient. Recipient could not be found. Why recipient? What is happening? Recipient. Recipient. Is this okay? Yes. So recipient. Okay. So now coming to this, I'll keep in a loop here to navigate through, to list mail IDs. So int I less than or equal to, and this is the logic we need to build here. Str list dot length. So I'll take it as count instead of it. Plus. So here what I'm doing is I'm taking this recipient object to mail add equal to new recipient. So, and after this I'm creating to my email address equal to email address. So, and next one is adding that actual value to my email address object here dot address equal to str list of int ei. So it is adding one by one, and then to my email id dot email address. So this we are adding to email address, and this email dot to email add dot add of to mail add. This is the variable we have created here. So two email address I have given here, this one, and to email add. So dot email address equal to email address and to mail list dot add of this to email add. So this is my for loop. I'm creating these objects here and going to next step was I'm going to create a message body. So using Microsoft Graph API dot message. So here I'm assigning a subject and body content here. Subject equal to txt subject dot txt, body equal to new item body. So for this object we need to say content type equal to body body type dot text because we are giving text type, and content equal to text message txt message where we are giving text here. So after giving all this information, so just come throughout this loop simply, comma. What is the problem? Body type. Body type is a type, but it is used like a variable. No, this we have to keep it as a body. And here in the message object we have subject. Subject was in object, hence we just give a comma separated and body. And once body is done, and so after this, I think this is semicolon part because container says have subject and body. Body is new item body, and here content type and content. And after this, two recipients equal to mail list. So body, not body type. This is body. So here my message was ready now. And the next step is we're just calling send method here. So await and graph service client which we have created above dot. So so dot me dot send mail of message comma save to sent items. I think this is the variable we have to give it. You just say false and dot request dot post request dot post async. So this way I think we are calling this message. What is that? Message name does not exist. Message. Okay, so this is about the function of sending a mail. And to update the status, so just updating txt dot text is equal to the email has been sent successfully. So this is about sending acknowledgement, assigning it a variable. So this is the main function we need to call send email through Graph API. This function I'm calling in this button click event. So in the button click event, so can do some other stuff also. Txt status dot text equal to okay. Now when I send an email, it is going through this function and it is taking client ID, tenant ID, and it is creating public line, application builder options provided by here, and it is building an object with token details. This token details I'm giving it to graph client here to validate. Once it is validated, it is coming through here. This object is having a test of. So once I build all these information body to address and from address, that entire thing I'm passing to again this graph server client information here. Once it is done, I'm making nothing. Okay. Now let us see like how it is working here. I'm just running this. So this is opening my project here. So I have given all this information, so which I have created through Azure portal. This is what client ID, tenant ID, and this sender mail ID, and I'll give my mail ID here. Okay, and to address, I'm giving my Gmail. Here, subject is demo. Email send through hello. So after giving this, when I click on send email, so it is coming here, and you just go through debug steps here to see the token details. I'm just building this client application options. And this is the builder object building, and this is the scope, and this is secure password. I'm appending to a secure object, and once it is done, I'm just passing this to auth result. So now I'm hit here, making it acquiring a token by provided username and password along with the scope. So once it is executed, I'll get token here, and I'll let you know like how it is looks like. As I said, this is the bearer token. I think I got an exception as a validation credential due to invalid username and a password. Okay, let's try again. Go back. Okay, I'm running through. So I think we need to make sure that the credentials was given in the correct format along with the proper values. So because that mail from mail address which you are using, it should be registered on cloud. So let's try with this. Jamna337gmail.com demo demo and hello. I'm just clicking on send. And coming here and going here. So I'll get the token details. So now I got a token here. You can clearly see this. So this is the token value I'm getting here. So this is the token, access token here. And if I get this in text format, I think this in textual duration. This is a base 64 kind of thing. It will be in the encoded format, which contains all the information. And so this is what the ID token. So it is also in the encrypted format, and this is scopes. So what are the permissions added for our registration app and Azure? Those scopes will get displayed here, and this is the tenant ID, and this is the unique ID. So once you get all this stuff and click on continue, and again we have a problem here. What is that? Str list. Str list. It is having this one, and into I. What is that? Into I. So see here. I think it should be 0. Okay. I think we should start this 0. And int I plus 1, it becomes 1 before it assigned to variable. I think so count minus 1, I think we can give it here, or you just remove this equal symbol and again run through, because I given only one recipient 2 mail address and it is checking through 0 1 as well. So I'm giving sender mail ID and demo and hello, send, continue. So I'll get a token as usual, because I'm calling every time without checking, because we need to check that. So once it is done, clicking on continue, it has come here and click OK. So now mail got sent. And if you look at this UI, I think mail got sent. We go and see like in the Gmail here, my Gmail, I think, going back and Gmail. So I'm just logging to my Gmail to see like whether it was sent or not. So here you see demo. So I received a mail here. Hello, I'm subject with the demo. So this is basically like how to send an email through Microsoft Graph API. And after you register app on Azure, and you'll get client and tenant ID. Based on that, you have to write a code to send an email without the standard traditional protocols. That's how it is working. So I hope you understand like the thing how it is going to work without these traditional protocols. So as like I shown you SMTP and POP3 and IMAP protocols. So now what it is doing is Microsoft Graph API was the interface RESTful API which will pass my user ID password to this identity. So I am a layer where it is authorizing and sending back the token here back, and using the token I'm directly accessing these applications. In this case, I'm accessing email. Okay, so I hope you understand the process and sending of an email using OAuth in O365 Azure Active Directory cloud. Okay, thank you. Thanks for attending this session. Please subscribe this channel to know about more topics on technology. Thank you.